Welcome back to Talavera de la Reina for the second race of the FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship Round 6 here in Spain. The first race was a scorcher. The temperature is right up there to match the racing that we've had here so far this weekend. And without spoiling anything until we see the race 1 highlights, let's hope the battle at the front is just as intense in race 2 as it was in race 1. Talavera de la Reina then in Spain, this 6th round of the FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship. You can see it's 31 degrees out on track. That's about 10 or 11 degrees more than it was when the riders went out on track for the first of the European races at around 9:30 this morning. It's now just after 4 o'clock here, local time in Spain. We're about 125 kilometers southwest of Madrid, right in the center of the country. And these guys, they're not stupid. They know where the shade's at. But the start straight here into that right-hand left combination. The Foxhole shot line just prior to going into the second turn. It's caught 1 or 2 riders out during the course of the weekend, but hopefully there are no dramas in this second MX2 race. The track would have had a little bit of water on it in the 1 hour interval between MXGP race 1 and this second race in MX2. It'll be interesting to see how it all pans out as well. But the lock on the line here, as always, World Championship points. Jordi Tixier there, number 1. Had a decent ride in race 1. And if you missed it earlier, here's some of the highlights. Gate drop for MX2 race 1, and down into turn 1 it was Alexander Tomkov on the Wilvernestan factory Husqvarna. Golovkin was run off track there. Herlings didn't waste any time getting to the lead, nor too did his teammate Paul Jonas, number 41, and by the end of the first lap the Husqvarna rider was back in 3rd. But just behind them Max Anstie was also on the charge, so it was Herlings, Jonas, Anstie. Tomkov was in there and well placed in 4th. Ferrandis just behind Tim Geiser. So those 2 guys were inside the top 10. Geiser had already gone off with the yellow flags there in the background. And then there was obviously a problem with the machine there of Ferrandis because he picked it up and didn't go anywhere. And that was Ferrandis' race run. He would not rejoin the moto. No points on the board for the rider who's 2nd in the championship. Jeffrey Herlings, though, tried to establish a lead at the head of the field, but Max Anstie on the Monster Energy DRT Kawasaki was not letting the Red Bull KTM, 2-time world champion, out of his sights. And this is how close it was for much of the race. The track was freshly watered and a little bit slippery in places, but as it dried out, Anstie was still going nowhere. Battle for 3rd was between the 41 of Jonas and the 59 of Tomkov. Just behind them was the number 1 of Jordi Tixier, and a little bit further down the order, the number 95 of Robert Just in 10th place. Had his hands full of the number 18 of Severil Yakov, the 152 of Petr Petrov, the 91 Yellow Suzuki of Jeremy Sewa. A little later on, Tim Geiser joined that little party as well. Sewa, though, pushed on hard. He crashed coming out of turn 2 and eventually got himself up into 10th place as Tixier found a way past Jonas to get himself into 3rd. But by then, the number 1 Kawasaki rider had about 7 seconds to make up to Max Anstie, who was still closing in and was always within striking distance of the number 84, Jeffrey Herlings. Two laps to go, and Herlings had a very fast lap indeed, the fastest of the race, and managed to eke out to more than 2.5 seconds over Anstie. He took a look back and saw that the threat was no longer there. Anstie backed it off as well on the final lap. He knew that 22 points for 2nd place would be good enough, but it was Herlings who came over the line in race 1. Anstie was 2nd, Tixier 3rd, Jonas 4th, Tomkov, Guillot, Van Donnik, Borges, Lieber and Sewa rounded out the top 10.
CBS Sports Spectacular Motorsports is being brought to you by the General Insurance.
For the second race here in MX2. Welcome, Adam. A little bit hot here today and has been all weekend, but we've seen some great action. That first MX2 race was great. We just saw the highlights. It was pretty close for a while there between Jeffrey Hurlings and Max Anstey, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's certainly cooler in here, Paul, than it is outside, that's for sure. You know, that first race almost makes you want somebody like Max Anstey to get ahead of Jeffrey Hurlings. You know, like we saw yesterday in the qualification heat, if somebody can get ahead of the championship leader, then, you know, with a difficult layout here and the lack of passing opportunities, I think it'll be a nice close battle all the way to the finish.
Well, we just saw there the championship points as they stand coming into this second race. Jeffrey Hurlings now on 247, Ferrandis on 185, Jonas on 166, so Ferrandis losing 25 points there as a result of that DNF. We just heard from him the rear brake disc was completely destroyed, the bike wouldn't go anywhere, and it could be an expensive race DNF for Dylan Ferrandis. Looks like there's a little bit of water gone down on the track to combat these hot conditions, Adam. You know, some riders, I saw one or two tweets knocking around. The track's still pretty fast. One or two riders not complaining, but saying, you know, it was pretty fast yesterday, not so many lines, but, you know, they flattened the track, didn't they, this morning and last night, and, you know, I think the condition of the ground is very, very good. It looks like it would be more open, but then the downside of that is because it's so hot, that one specific line is becoming so hard, dry and slick that if you're on it, then great, but if the offline is then, you know, drying out as well, then it's going to be quite marbly. That makes it a little bit difficult to pass in that respect. Yeah, let's see what happens here, Paul. But in the first opening laps of this race, we'll get an idea of what's going to happen. Oh. Well, the 15-second board has turned, so too has the 5, and again about to drop here, and a rider being left on the line. It looks big crash down the start straight. Is that Van Donnick, I think, the Yamaha? Well, Watson on the line there, and Sprilyakov, Benoit Paturel and Van Donnick. Yeah, both of the Kamea Yamahas down. And that could have been so much worse. Someone stuck in the gate as well, Paul. Yeah, that was Watson in the gate. So Watson still not moving away from the line, but up front, let's try and pick up the action here. Dylan Ferrandis, well, talk about this is where it all went wrong for him in the first race. But behind him is the 92 of Valentin Guillaume, Lieber third, Tixier fourth, Siewert, Jonas, Borges, Hurlings in 8th place, Covington, Petrov, Zaragoza, Geiser, Fors, Tomkov, Monticelli, Anstey down in 16th place. So talk about trying to apply pressure to the championship leader when he's down there buried in 8th place. The least place that, well, the last place that Anstey wanted to be was down in 16th place, but maybe there was part of that carnage that he got caught up in as well. Maybe we need to see a slow-mo or a replay of that, but looking good for Ferrandis at the moment, looking to make amends. What an incentive for Ferrandis, Paul. Obviously missed most of the first moto as well. If there's going to be a rider that's fresh out there, it's going to be him. He's going to have a 2-second lead by the end of this lap, for sure. So Ben Watson then not rejoining the race, we're told, but there's Hurlings already going to town on the number 91 of Jeremy Siewert. So already up into, what, 5th, 6th place, unless Siewert has lost some positions there. Let's pick him up here. Ferrandis is already out of the way. There's 92 Guillaume, the 33, the second of the blue Yamaha's 4th. Then it's Tixier 5. Borges is in 6th place. Been riding well this weekend, Brian Borges. He was 4th overall in Valkenswaard, let's not forget, as well, 2 weeks ago, but obviously in the sand a little bit different, but that was the first time we've seen him kind of emulate some of the form that he showed in the European 250 Championship. Ferrandis pulling that Kawasaki back into shape just on the downhill there, Paul. But what a contrast for the Yamaha teams in MX2. Both of the Kamea riders going down on the start straight, and then you've got the standing construct riders in 2nd and 3rd. Guillaume has only taken 12 motos of the season, but he's finally got a start in the top 2. Jeffrey Hurlings up into 6th as he goes into turn 2 then. So Ferrandis, Guillaume, Lieber, Tixier, Borges on the white KTM just ahead of the orange of Hurlings as they crest the top of the hill just there. Then it's Jeremy Siewert on that yellow Suzuki, then Jonas, then Geiser on the Honda. Number 243, then the 152 of Petrov. Covington is 11th, but here's another look at the start. So Anstey is there, 99. Doesn't affect him, but that was just... Right, look at it from the front. There's 2 blue in the centre of the picture. Yeah, Sprilyakov got offline, so too did Van Donnick, and then straight into... And Marchetti getting caught there as well. Yeah, that was definitely a tag on the front brake, wasn't it? Straight over the handlebars. Poor Ben Watson just can't get the KTM started there. He ended up in the water 2 weeks ago in Valkenswaard, and this time doesn't even make it a metre into the race. Back with the leaders though. Dylan Ferrandis not pulling that clear of Valentin Guillot. It was 2.2 seconds at the end of the first lap. It's coming down, isn't it? Guillot looking like he's having a good second lap here, Adam.
Tell you what, Paul, I really like the look at Guillot this weekend. Oh, that's
Hurlings.
Where's that?
Is he out? Right. Ooh, just before the tabletop. Look at that. Big high side.
Oh,
Wow.
oh, it's a
Big crash for Hurlings. Big crash for the two-time world champion. Wow, out of 6th place then, Hurlings. Is he out of the race, though?
What an escape, Paul. He's not hurt.
Well, we see him get back on the track, but is he back in the race? He has yet to come over the line, has he? Well, he's still showing in 6th. Obviously, that was the end of the lap. There he is. So he's just going by Ivanov. So Ivanov, 21st place. And getting a little bit rodeo style there, coming out of the turn as Hurlings goes through. There's some of the dangers when you come to ride around the slower riders on your way through after a big crash like that. Good to see, though, that arms and limbs all intact and no carry-ons from the femur injury, you know.
Well, look, round 3, Hurlings goes out on the first lap, gives 25 points to Dylan Ferrandis. Now, first moto, Ferrandis goes out, Hurlings wins, and then we've got a reverse scenario here of Ferrandis winning again, and Hurlings is out of the points at the moment.
Just looking to see those handlebars are crooked on that right side, pulled down towards the right side. Jeffrey Hurlings riding with bent bars. I was looking to see if something else on the right side was hanging off the machine. That Red Bull KTM of Jeffrey Hurlings.
He was smashing his levers into place there. There's a clutch lever sort of poking out.
Watch this.
What happens here? Just gets a kick.
Lost it, and then the back end just hits a hole just there. Look, they've watered the track. Front end caught something. The back end responded and reacted. At that point, he is just a passenger with his heart in his mouth,
get out of it there.
The worst. And at that point, that is a slight rise on the uphill on that tabletop there. Front end over the bars, and it would eat him alive right there. Look at that. Boom, straight in the back.
Yeah, hit on the bottom of the back by the bike as well.
Very, very lucky to get away with that, Jeffrey Hurlings. So drama already in the second MX2 race then, and that could throw the overall into chaos because Jordi Tixier, as it stands at the moment, in 4th place, would be picking up 38 points. Valentin Guillot would be on the podium in 2nd on 37. Julian Lieber, so the 2 standing construct Yamaha Yamalube riders, would be 2nd and 3rd on 37 and 32 points respectively, with Jonas in 4th on 31, Anstey on 5th on 31. So there's a lot of racing, a lot of laps, and a lot of points to be gained or lost here.
Thank you for being a sailor and my daddy. Thank you, Mom, for protecting my future.
Jeffrey Hurlings went down in that crash over this jump here. Fortunately for us and for Red Bull KTM Factory Racing, he has picked himself up. But in terms of points and gaining those points back, you know, for Anstey and for Ferrandis and for Jonas Guillot, all those guys, and Getterman just getting a little bit wayward there.
Just was clipping the back of Thomas Covington there. But yeah, Hurling's still down in 18th place. He's got a pair of bent bars, Paul, then coming through, you know, you'd say his options are limited. Not so easy for passing anyway, this circuit. So how far can he get up? He's 20 seconds.
A slow process, because obviously to catch them is one thing, but what else is damaged on that bike? Because in a crash like that, you can easily, you know, bend a radiator, and then on a hot day like this, it's going to prevent the cooling, it's going to affect the cooling, and therefore you have a mechanical, the bike's going to overheat. Has he damaged the back brake, for instance? Can he use it effectively? The front brake, is that damaged at all? So how, you know, is not going to be able to push as hard as he'd want to if the bike is, you know, damaged in that respect, but you know, this guy's not going to worry about it, is he? Dylan Ferrandis.
I'm still staggered by the accident. I mean, it's not a mistake, was it? It was just a...
Well, it was the front end, and see the handlebar on the left side is bent up as well. That bike took a hard hit.
Yeah, but he was just dragging on the inside line there, boy. He was probably doing that every lap.
Well, actually, no, well, I mean, he was doing it every lap. That's the difference. His probably hand is wet probably as well there from and the bars are bent. But he would have... He was up on the pegs, nothing wrong with that. If we follow him around here through this next series of corners, all the way down and on the approach there, he'll be up on the pegs through that long left-hander, but there is a series of hard-edged square bumps. So when you hit them anyway, the bike is going to move. But if it was greasy because it's been freshly watered, it was the front wheel that went first. And having lost that front end, the back then reacted.
Let's see where he goes now. Who's this going? Lieber plate 33. Oh!
So Lieber out of 3rd place. Tixier then gets himself up into 3rd. That's going to change the podium situation a little bit.
a frustrating crash. There's almost nothing in it.
Because that'll put Anstey, if he didn't lose too much there, he might have lost a position, did he? Yeah, to Tixier, so that's going to put Anstey on the podium next time around in terms of the overall classification. But going back to the Hurlings incident, as soon as that front wheel twitched and went away from him, the back wheel then reacted, caught another edge bump and slid and high-sided from the edge of another one, and that's what started the process. But
well, the irony of it is that he saved it, but it was too late when he was on the takeoff for the jump, and that was it. He was over the bars.
Yeah. In theory, what he would have wanted to do is just jam the back brake as he was trying to get up, but he was a passenger even before he got to the face of the jump.
I mean, we're taking a minute to talk about it, and it happened in a second,
yeah.
So you can only sympathise, can't you?
Oh, yeah, if you watch that. Oh, Benoit Patrel again, out of 18th. But if we had seen that in real time as opposed to a replay, it would be amazing how fast, that happened. Like, bang, 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 off. As quick as that. Less than 2 seconds.
I mean, I'm sure he's going to be pretty banged up afterwards, Paul, but for me, that's a fantastically lucky escape.
Fantastically lucky, Adam, but at the same time, shows how tough this guy is. But, he's not going to just throw in the towel. If he can pick himself up and the bike is healthy as well, because it wasn't in Argentina when he DNF'd that first race, remember. He was lucky to get away from that one as well.
But yeah, exactly. But remember the footage we have of that crash was spectacular. Yeah. And now you've got another one here, in the first sort of 5-6 rounds of the championship. And Hurlings, it's after the injury nightmares he's had over the last 6 months. Somebody's certainly smiling on him. Oh, yeah.
Guillot. So Guillot goes through there in second. Tixier's already gone through in third. Lieber is still there in fourth. Geiser is fifth. This is Brian Borgers on the HSF Logistics Motorsport KTM, the 189. He's in sixth place. Jeremy Sear, Rockstar Energy Suzuki Europe, number 91, is in seventh. Jonas, the teammate to Hurlings, is the lead Red Bull KTM rider. Lead KTM? No, he's not. Borgers is the lead KTM. So a couple of places ahead of him. This guy here on the white machine. So Jonas in 8th, Petrov 9 for Hitachi Revo KTM, and then Alex Tonkov, the Husqvarna rider, in 10th place. Anstey now up to 11th.
So he was really attacking here, Paul. He had a pretty busy first motor coming back from last up to 10th after that second corner fall. He said Max Anstey just clipped his front wheel and sent him down, and collected Paterel as well. And last year, his first Grand Prix here, Sear actually knocked himself silly on the Saturday, so on Sunday he was out of sorts. I think he finished 14th overall, which might have been his worst round of the season. Areas on the inside.
Final corner. Seaver goes through and steals that position then from Borgers, now goes into 6th place.
On the back of the ground there.
But Jordi Tixier just sets the fastest lap of the race, 54.056, 400s quicker than, a second, more than a second quicker than Valentin Guillot, but he's 5 seconds behind the Swiss rider. There's Geiser.
We haven't talked about him much, have we? Geiser crashed in the first lap.
He crashed through here.
Yeah.
First moto, over the handlebars, down the ditch there. But and that was as a result of catching the rear of somebody else. So either way, it was a big off for Geiser.
But Geiser's been really trying some different lines this weekend. I was watching him come back through in the first round. Oh, had to pick it up there. But he's been trying different stuff and really just attacking this track like unlike anybody else. It's hardly a surprise to see him catching gear, but taking some big risks as a civilian.
But he's a rider that 3 weekends ago or 3 Grand Prix ago was victorious in Italy at Trentino. Completely different set of results for him in Valkenswaard at the MX2 GP of Europe. Right, watch this here. Just caught the edge. Not the first rider to catch that this weekend. Geiser.
He's lucky that Guillot got through there cleanly as well. Oh, he's passed him already.
Yeah, so round the back, I'm guessing maybe up on the sweeper. Either into the left-hander at the end of that straight with the tabletops, or the long right sweeper that takes you around the back of that mountain there. But Ferrandis, we wait for him to come through, having completed 5 laps at the moment. He's making his way towards the finish line. Here's Dylan Ferrandis any moment now. Tim Geiser, right. Yeah, out of the left. Slight mistake then for
Lieber, yeah.
Julian Lieber. I was thinking maybe on the drag up here, but not too far off. Lieber still trying to get back at him though. Didn't give up the opportunity. Here's Tixier. He is in 3rd place now then. Still around 5 seconds down on Valentin Guillot, who's 2 seconds behind Dylan Ferrandis. As it stands at the moment, after 6 laps, Tixier would be on 40 points. 2 3rd place finishes. Valentin Guillot on 37 with a 6 and a second. Jonas would be 3rd on 32, and Anstey would be 4th on 32.
This is
Hurlings would be 5th on 31, so very tight for that 3rd podium place.
This is the battle for 7th place. Now there's Hurlings now. We were looking at Jonas a minute ago, but there's his teammate. 16th at the moment. No, coming across the finish line 15th, actually. Just updated the classification.
Just finding his way past Zaragoza, so that'll give him another point, wouldn't it? Right, watch here. Front wheel loses there, and then the back steps out. Tried to save it, fair play, but at that point, his body positioning was all wrong and the suspension just reacted. He was sat down on the takeoff on what is effectively a short takeoff there.
Yeah. But, I mean, he's lucky he didn't hit the tough block on the Marshall as well. And
I tell you what, when the handlebar like that, when the handlebar is bent up like that, shaking the arm, that would lead to arm pump because his hand is automatically then in a unnatural position on the grip.
We need competitors and those who cover the competition.
We need to make history.
Big gap to make up unless these two start tripping themselves up, because Ferrandis, there we go, there's first three, all in the same shot. And Tixier will only need a sniff of that as well. And as he starts to see them, that'll give him the push. But look who's just set the fastest lap of the race, Jeremy Siwa, on lap 8 with a 1:53.7. These guys, by comparison on that lap, Ferrandis, Guillaume and Tixier, 55, 54, 54, a 54 for Geiser and a 55 for Lieber. So a second and a half, 2 seconds in some parts.
And that's keeping a look, he's going to be, this is the battle for the victory. Just keeping an eye on Anstey, who's in 3rd place overall at the moment. His first podium finish on the Kawasaki in 2015. Two things here, Paul. Ferrandis could be fresher or maybe get a little tighter if he's only done one moto.
Well, you'd think, but then at the same time, he's not able to make the changes necessary for the bike, how the track had developed and that kind of thing, but the team are more than experienced. Guillaume, all over the back of the number 4. Nice line down there, nice and smooth, a slightly tighter option, bigger braking bumps at the bottom as well. That would have been the line previously.
He needs to do this double. So he's done a little bit of ground by not doing it.
But then he's going tight to the inside, so he's got a smoother entry going in, and it's actually not costing him too much time at all, because that is a wide rail around the outside.
But that's where Anstey was making time on Hurlings in the first moto.
Yeah.
Watch Guillaume over this one.
I think Tixier is closing in this time around. He was 4.9 down. Let's call it 5 seconds.
I'll tell you what, you watch here, last lap or two, Guillaume just throwing it down the hill, block pass into that penultimate corner there.
Nicely scrubbed there from Guillaume.
Could be in for a real sort of grandstand finale.
4.6 seconds, so pulling back another 3/10 as the backhand gets a little bit leery on that number 92. Here's Jeffrey Hurlings down the inside of Borges, so that puts him up into, what, 11th place? At least. So he's found a way past Getterman and Borges then, as Jeffrey Hurlings.
And he's going to dump Max Anstey off the podium. That's another point.
The next rider will be Max Anstey in his sights.
Yeah, Anstey needs to move forward as well, but he's got 2 seconds to the back of Paul Jonas. So there's lots of little pockets of action going off here for the overall result.
Geiser, the fastest man on track then, fastest lap of the race, in 4th place with a 1:53.4. So lap times starting to come down as the track dries out. That greasy film of water that was laying on the track that caught out Jeffrey Hurlings over on this part of the circuit. Siwa. That'll be a front end coming up there into that left-hander at the top of the hill.
So look what
Jeremy
happened here.
Siwa, just stepping up, but he was out of shape anyway. Just unbalanced and off the bike. An easy mistake. Guillaume. Standing Constructs Yamaha Yamalube continuing to push on after Dylan Ferrandis on the Monster Energy Kawasaki.
Come on, Paul, put your money on the table. Is he going to do it?
I think he can do it.
He's got a sniff of his first Grand Prix win. Ferrandis, of course, has taken a win already this year.
But Ferrandis, obviously a DNF in the first race, will only leave him 10th place with those 25 points, potentially, if he continues to lead and cross the line as a race winner.
We've got two forms of desperation here. Dylan Ferrandis needs the point for the championship, but Guillaume is just so close to his first.
The difference there between Guillaume. He is making up so much time there. Nick Kuenberg did that in the European 250 race when he passed one of the guys, you know, to get himself further up the field. Because a lot of guys were scribbling that.
I want to skip to the last lap right now, because I think coming down that hill is going to be something pretty tasty.
Well, he lost a bit of time that lap, as we saw. You know, it was 6/10, it's gone back out to 1.1. But having said that, he's right back on the rear wheel again. He made that mistake coming out of here, out of the second turn, didn't he?
Yeah.
He lost half a second, 3/4 of a second in that little mistake alone a lap ago.
I mean, I kind of want Guillaume to do it. I want to see another first-time win in MX2, but I just think if he's just one mistake away from losing a little bit of, you know, momentum and distance, and Ferrandis will be able to streak ahead with it.
Well, Ferrandis
and Anstey.
Yeah, Ferrandis leads, and look at that. That is Anstey on Jonas. This is for 8th place. So let's give you a quick rundown then. Ferrandis, with 8 minutes plus 2 laps to go, is still leading, but just by a couple of bike lengths over Valentin Guillaume, number 92. Number 1, Jordi Tixier, is 3rd. Geiser on the Honda is 4th. Lieber on the Yamaha 5. The yellow of Siwa, who we just saw, didn't lose any positions when he fell then, so still in 6th place. Tonkov just here, number 59 on the Wilvo Nastan factory Husqvarna is 7th. The Red Bull KTM of Jonas is 8th, and he's got the Monster Energy DRT Kawasaki of Anstey, who takes a tight line at the bottom of that hill, breathing down his neck. He is in 9th place, and then the rider just behind him on the Hitachi Revo KTM, Petr Petrov, having a few good rides lately, Petr Petrov. Getterman is 11th on the JTEC Honda. Hurling's Red Bull KTM is 12th, after crashing here in lap 2. Borges is 13, Covington, Zaragoza, Monticelli, Brilyakov, just Van Donnik, and 4 are your top 20 riders.
We're looking pretty solid for the first 2 on the podium at the moment, Paul, but, you know, Max Anstey really needs to pass Paul's Jonas, because Hurlings can realistically gain 1 more position. Then he's got a 6-second gap to Petrov in 10th. So with the amount of time left in this race, you could say Hurlings is going to get another point, and he's tied at the moment with Max Anstey, so that's going to knock him off. So Anstey really, you know, needs to get a message that he needs to pass Jonas.
And Petrov has just set his own fastest personal best lap of the race in 10th, a 1:55.9. Hurlings, who you say, once he gets past Getterman, if he can find a way past Getterman, was a 55.8 that time around. Obviously beat up, bruised, the bike damaged, can't push as hard as he wants to. So that's going to be a tough thing to expect him to do, just to close up onto Petrov. But this is a battle for the lead, Adam. I'm still on for Guillaume for winning this race, and therefore picking up the overall victory.
I want him to do it, but I think Ferrandis has got to have something. Does he even know he's there? I haven't seen Ferrandis have a little look around.
He's got a nice line through here as well. Ferrandis in the uncertainty of the ruts in the middle of the jump. And Guillaume, just at the bottom of that hill, is turning tighter, so a little bit slower and almost locks up there. And Ferrandis makes a mistake. Guillaume gets the drive. He's going to scrub his way neatly over all of these jumps here. We've got the wrong shot. No, we haven't. So there's 4 and 92. So Ferrandis and Guillaume. Guillaume round the outside, but you always know that in that little exchange that Ferrandis will, if he has to, turn right instead of left.
It's far too bumpy there for Guillaume to come across. That was his original plan, I think, but just a run in.
Down the inside here. The big braking bumps. Gets out of those, no problem at all. I wonder, you know what? We might see the difference here. Ferrandis is going to jump. Guillaume is not going to jump. He's going to go to the inside, hold a tighter line.
Marker.
But look at that. It's not that much in it, you know.
Yeah, good shout. But here, down the hill. Will Guillaume line him up on the inside?
Golovkin is ahead of them. Is he still going to jump long? Yes, he is. And Ferrandis goes long as well. Maybe he's had the word from the pit crew. Inside. Final turn. And Guillaume came off worse there.
He's still there, he's still there.
I tell you what, actually Golovkin taking a long look over the wrong shoulder as he's being lapped there. But Guillaume not giving up the fight. He's sensing his first ever race victory.
That could have been messy on that last corner before the finish. I think, you know, we're going to be in for something like that. This is probably one of the best motos we had so far this season in MX2.
And once again, it's because Jeffrey Hurlings is nowhere to be seen, just like we had previously in that situation.
Looks like the Garcia's got a new car.
What'd they get?
I don't know.
Sure doesn't look like a Buick.
Ball ranking. It just seems to be shifting around every lap. At the moment, Tixier from Guillaume from Anstey, but there's only 3 points between the top 4. So it's going to go right down to the last lap, right last corner. Guillaume just can't afford to lose touch like this. He has to keep with the Frenchman. Of course, Ferrandis only doing 1 moto here. First moto problem, retired after 2 laps, I think. Just a bit of...
that was a perfect illustration from that camera, from the shot from the rear there, how much smoother it is on the approach, because it's so tight, you're carrying so much speed and there's so much inertia and momentum pushing you forward at the bottom of the hill that you automatically go middle to right, which is where all those ruts are, which is where we saw Geiser have that moment early on in the race.
I really hope somebody from Standing Constructors is holding out the sign to Guillaume saying you need the pass, just keep attacking.
Well, we'll give you a rundown in the next time around as they cross the line, but at the moment, Ferrandis still leading here. That's the gap.
Who's this?
This is Hurlings. Well, he's whittled down a 6-second gap to Petrov in no time at all.
Oh, nice.
And Hurlings going through and taking 10th place.
Difference between a factory KTM and a privateer one there.
That will give him another point as well. So Anstey also needs to get a point because that will push the Brit off the podium because Hurlings would have pulled back another point. That'll put him on 36, Anstey on 35. Back with the leaders though. This is one of two on the last lap.
Nice line for
And this is the second one on the last lap that Guillaume could make that pass stick.
Let's have a look at the lap time here because that was quick from Ferrandis on that one there, Paul. He's pulled out a little bit.
Wow.
A 54.6.
There's only a 54.5 though for Guillaume, only a 10th quicker.
But that's only 4/10 slower than his best lap of the race. So Ferrandis has really picked things up.
These guys are pushing a serious pace at the front though as well. The track now starting to gnarl out and it's getting slick. It's caught out the two-time world champion. It's caught out a whole host of riders as well. But it's just these guys. There's so much going on. How the light and the ruts, the holes and the bumps and that kind of in the ruts. Here's Hurlings over the line then in 9th place, and Anstey just 1 second ahead of him. So despite. So this is definitely going to decide the third place on the podium. Hurlings is right there at the moment on 37 points then because he's pulled 2 passes in the last couple of laps as he stabs a leg through there. Well, he's found a pass Jonas. Jonas went missing then because Jonas wasn't there, was he, before?
Well, Hurlings has done a 54.2, which is his fastest lap of the race. So he's got used to that whole scenario where the bike bent out of shape, but Jonas is dropping right off.
Watch this. So this was the crash on the second lap. Hurlings, a passenger at that point, over the handlebars, beat up by the bike, picked it up, the bar's destroyed, the handlebar on the left side, as you can see, more like a speedway bar from yesteryear. But he's pushed on despite that and is now right on the rear wheel of Max Anstey. They are going to be fighting over 8th and 9th place. And Guillaume is going to make a move on the downhill here. He's been harder, faster. Will he jump long?
Different line.
He's going to swing up the inside or rail the outside. Here comes the pass, final corner. Guillaume takes him wide and he's going to be the new leader as we go into lap 15, lap 16. So Valentin Guillaume then in unfamiliar territory, having never led an MX2 Grand Prix race before.
You're kidding, he's never led a race?
I don't think he has. I don't think he's ever been up there. Oh, maybe Trentino. Trentino last year he did because he lost the front when Sierra was behind him.
But well, certainly new territory this weekend.
Certainly this year.
And he's had such momentum behind Ferrandis for a couple of laps now, even before that mistake.
So he has led laps before, but failed to bring home the bacon.
Ferrandis very angry 2 weeks ago in Holland with a bad suspension setup, Paul. They worked 3 days to fix things, but like I say, only one moto here, so Guillaume perhaps with a better rhythm.
So Guillaume leads in. There's one of those lines, and Ferrandis getting cute to that line as well. And 2 laps to go. Valentin Guillaume and Ferrandis, they're duking it out over the lead. 99 Anstey and 84 Hurlings. Nice line there from Hurlings.
He's got it.
Oh, that was a very nice line from Hurlings. Oh!
Battle for 8th, but battle for 3rd overall as well.
Landed on the back brake. Look at this here. Look how things are tightening up here. Where is Hurlings now? Hurlings is 8th in the race, so that'll be 13 points. It'll be 1 point gained if it's Tonkov who's ahead of him. So that'll be 14 points. So that'll put him on 38 with Tixier. He's got a lot of work to do if he's to still win this race, this overall Grand Prix.
Guillaume 40 points, and within touching distance of his first Grand Prix win.
10 out of 10 for effort though for Jeffrey Hurlings. Tonkov though ahead of him.
When you have a smash like that, Paul, do you think about it a lot after race and post-race? You're in bed thinking,
if you can pick yourself up and get on the bike, and as I said, if it's not too badly damaged, it's just a handlebar, it's cosmetic, but he's got used to riding with it and showing why he is a 2-time world champion, and here he is going after Tonkov.
What kind of line was he taking there? Tonkov was never going to let him through the inside.
Anstey running wide, and see the difference there. That is the shortest route, it's the quickest route. Anstey wasting too much time. He has not readapted to the track in the second race on that part of the racetrack. It worked in race 1, probably because it was so greasy into that bottom corner.
Max Anstey for most of the moto on the podium, now in 4th overall. 2 weeks to the British Grand Prix.
He'll do Tonkov at the end of the straight. Oh, even before that then, look. But he'll outrun him here. There we go. Into turn 1. Hurlings then past Tonkov into 7th. That gives him 1 more point back. So that'll put him on 39 within a point of the podium in the top step of the podium. It'll certainly get him past Jordi Tixier. That'll give him 2nd.
But he's got Jeremy Sewer, who's over almost 8 seconds ahead. So
yeah,
he's not going to move up, is he?
Final lap, he's not going to, barring a mistake somewhere ahead of him, he's not going to win the overall Grand Prix here.
But Anstey, if Anstey passes Tonkov, they'll put him back on the box.
Yeah.
No, 38, 34, just trying to do the sums.
No,
it's not going to be enough.
It's only 1 point.
It's still going to be Hurlings. There's Guillaume just in front of the picture. There's Julian Lieber, his teammate, 33.
In 5th place. So the standing construct, Yamaha, Yamalube riders well placed, and Julian Lieber there, number 33 in 5th place. But we need to get the other side of this jump here, because our race leader, Valentin Guillaume, who that's Brent Van Donnick, final corner. Right, here we go. Here's your final corners.
Where's Ferrandis?
Ferrandis is brought back to 3rd. So 92, Valentin Guillaume is going to hang on here. He's going to take a historic victory. He wins race 2. I don't know if he knows he's won the Grand Prix yet either, but Tim Matthijs down there, the team manager, team owner for Standing Construct, he will, here we go, they know. He wins his first ever Grand Prix. Valentin Guillaume, he wins it here at Talavera de la Reina in Spain. The mechanics are going crazy. Geiser on the final lap finds a way past Dylan Ferrandis, who drops to 3rd, Tixier 4th, Lieber 5th. Sewa is 6th. Tonkov has been already put back to 7th by Jeffrey Hurlings, who we're waiting to come over the line now. Jeffrey Hurlings crosses the lines for Red Bull KTM. He shakes his head and he's looking to the mechanics to say, well, where have I finished? Where have I finished? And the answer is 2nd overall. He misses out on the top step by a point. And Tixier will lose 2nd to Jeffrey Hurlings as a result of him overtaking Alexander Tonkov, and he drops to 38. So 40, 39, 38, Guillaume, Hurlings and Tixier, and Anstey off the podium again.
Do you feel like you've just done that, Moto Paul?
I feel like I finally got a prediction right. You can high-five me later, don't worry.
Yeah, well, Dylan Ferrandis just had a lapse there, the last 2 laps, but Geiser also had such fantastic momentum, didn't he?
Wow, what a 250, what a finale, what a final couple of laps there from Valentin Guillaume.
The 2nd first-time winner this season in 6 rounds, first Yamaha winner since Lommel last year.
But we've only had 7 previous to, well, 8 or 9 if you count MX2 and MXGP as separate. We've only ever had 2 winners here, so it becomes a 3rd Yamaha rider to win. Geister, Tonkov, Jonas, Lieber, Sewa and Borgers, your top 10 this weekend. Ferrandis, 11th, ahead of Petrov, Van Donnick, Brulyakov and Covington, your top 15. Overall, in the World Championship then, Jeffrey Hurlings loses a few points to Dylan Ferrandis this weekend, but he's still 56 clear. But Valentin Guillaume jumps up a position to 5th after that overall Grand Prix victory here. Round 6 of the FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship. The Grand Prix of Spain at Talavera de la Reina. Congratulations to Valentin Guillaume and Standing Construct Yamaha Yamalube on their success this weekend. Manufacturers World Championship in MX2 looks like this. KTM 34 points clear, but no change in the rest. There's Yamaha are 3rd, Honda, Husqvarna and Suzuki.
We were there for the first. We'll be there for the 50th.
He was almost the overall winner here this weekend, but the Monster Energy Kawasaki Racing Team rider has to settle for 3rd overall. Jeffrey Hurlings, Red Bull KTM Factory Racing, no doubt would have won himself a few more fans with that heroic performance to get 2nd here this weekend after that monster crash, that spectacular crash. But Valentin Guillot, the standing construct Yamaha Yamalube rider of Switzerland, takes his first race win, and with it, his first ever overall Grand Prix. And Tim Matthijs, the team manager, up there as well, the proudest man in the paddock. Jordi Tixier takes his third place trophy from Javier Porras, the Sport Council of Talavera de la Reina. Jeffrey Hurling's hard-earned second position for him takes his trophy from Angel Williams. And our overall winner, Valentin Guillot, standing construct Yamaha Yamalube, will take this great piece of ceramic from Jamie Ramos, the mayor of Talavera de la Reina. Thanks for your support, guys, for the second year in succession. Be careful with that, you wouldn't want to drop it. And the first Grand Prix trophy in terms of a winner's trophy for standing construct Yamaha Yamalube. Tim Matthijs, the team owner, the team manager. They've worked hard over the years, and they finally see the rewards of their labour here at Talavera de la Reina in Spain. But Tony Skillington, the FIM CMS director, hands the red plate to Jeffrey Hurlings of Red Bull KTM Factory Racing as he continues to lead the MX2 World Championship. They have a 2-week break now before they head to Matterley Basin for the MX Grand Prix of Great Britain. There is your classification. Guillot 40, Hurlings 39, Tixier 38. That's how close it was here in Spain.